so now we're going to talk about the bass, which is probably the key element of the track for me. It's the standout sound, apart from like the vocals, obviously. But yeah, the bass to me is the key feature, and it's kind of what the track was based around. So once I created the drums, then I made the bass, and I just really, really liked the processing that I did on it. So we're going to talk about that now. Let's just have a quick listen to the bass. So this bass changes throughout the track as well. If I just switch the other ones on, you can see I've got different tracks. I've got bass 1, 2, and 3. Why is this not playing? Let me just have a quick look. Oh yeah, I turned all the plugins off just to save CPU while we film. We've got this one. And we've also got this as well. So yeah, there's quite a lot going on. So let's just turn these off, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come back to them later on and show you what the differences are. So we're just going to talk about the processing now. I got this sound basically. It's not a synthesizer. It's actually just the sound being heavily processed by Roar and some other plugins. If I turn it off and we take a listen to what the source sound is, it's just an 808 kick drum. Play that with the drums. So that's it basically. It's an 808 kick drum taken from Ableton's stock 808 core kit. And if we solo it, you can hear what I've done is turn drive all the way up, turn the decay all the way up, put the transposition at +2. If we just go to the tuner, grab a tuner and put that after. You'll notice that I changed the sense as well. So we've gone +2 to put it in the same key as the project, which is F sharp minor. Turn the sense off, you'll see it's actually out of tune. So then what I did was I just changed the detuning a bit to almost get it in. I wanted to leave it a little bit off, so I've gone -25 cents. So once that was in tune with the track, I then added Raw. But before I did that, you can see the pattern that we've got going on as well. How do I bring that up? There we go. Right, so yeah, you can see the pattern. It's kind of almost going between the kick drum, but some of the notes overlap. So let's just go to the kick drum. So some of them are in between, some of them actually land at the same time. Let's just go back to it now. Let's take a look at the first Raw. So listen to the difference. So you can see on the Raw on stage 1, we've got, whoa, yeah, you're going to get a lot of feedback as well from this, unfortunately. So yeah, you can see with stage 1, we've got a lot of movement. And what I've done is I put the routing into serial, which is basically like having 2 Raws, but in the same plugin. So it puts stage 1 before stage 2, and then you can actually blend between them as well using the blend knob there. So stage 1, stage 2. Let's turn stage 2 off. Let's just turn the feedback down for now. And let's just do that so it stops the automation. And we'll play around with these. So what I've done is, you can see I've boosted the drive, put the shaper on poly, which gives it like a synth sound. And this, we automate this. And then we've also got a low pass filter with high resonance set to pre mode. So you see, if it's in post, it actually cuts out the frequencies, but in pre, it lets them frequencies still come through. Let's just put the automation back on, and I'll show you how I did the automation. So let's just create a small loop like this. What I did was I put the grid into 1/16, as you can see there. Press B to bring up my pen tool, or you can press the pen at the top. And then all you do is basically this at random. So it sounds different straight away. You can make a completely new track out of that if you wanted to. Let's put that back, because that's how I basically created it. Just really, really simple. So we step sequenced it, and the reason why I did this step sequence, it's taking inspiration from when I'm using Electron boxes. So what I'll do is I'll hold a trig down and say like a syntax, change the parameters and lock them, step lock them like this, or I'll put it into live recording mode and basically just wangle the parameters until I get these step locked amounts. And to me, it just gives it that electro vibe that I'm after. Let's take a look at stage 2 next. So after it goes from stage 1, it goes into stage 2, or they're running serial, but also kind of parallel as well because you're using a blend. And with this one, what I've done is I've used the noise shaper. Let's put it on. And you can hear it adds loads of kind of like digital noise and fizz to the sound, which I really liked. And then if we take a look at feedback next and put this all the way up, what this does is it puts the sound of the output back into the input and you get feedback tones. So I can show you this by hitting play and stopping. You can hear that I've got this extra sound now. You'll also hear it if I bring the drive down, because it's fighting for space, right? Let's just change the pitch. Nuts. So with this sound, actually, I'm not using it as the way that I would normally use it. What I would normally do is put a little bit less signal in there so that the feedback, you can hear it. It works especially well with drums. So like, let's say if like a kick drum hits. Let's go to the drums, actually. I'll show you this. How it works. Normally I do this in a track, but for this one I didn't do it. So if we just solo the kick, because we have actually got a raw on here. Let's boost that feedback. There we go. So when the kick lets off, it allows that tone to come through. So that's pretty much how it works, really. Let's get this all back off again. Let's go back to the bass. So yeah, in this instance, it's adding a little bit of something, but not much. And you can usually hear it when it gets to the end, like this, watch. There you go. Right at the end there, you can really hear the feedback. Turn the feedback off. Turn the feedback on. So I'm getting all that kind of like extra sound. And you can see I put this in the feedback in note mode and then put it into F#0. So we're actually getting it in key as well. So that's the first raw. And then if we take a look at the second one, actually let me put the feedback amount back up. Take a look at the second one now. So this was to just give it more of that kind of like electro vibe. Also just take some of the top frequencies away and make it a bit thicker as well. Now what we're doing here is we're actually using the mod matrix and some modulation from an LFO. So if we turn global amount down, we can just hear what it sounds like without that. You can see that I'm using tube shaper, a little bit on the amount, and then put the drive into a sweet spot. When I made this, what I actually did was I created the modulation first, then I tweaked the drive and the shaper amount. You can hear how that changes the sound a little bit. So let's take a look at the just try and stop this feedback. There we go. Let's take a look at how we set this up then. So if we go into the matrix, what you do is you basically click a parameter. So if I click the wave shaper amount, and then I can choose whether I want to send LFO1, LFO2, envelope or noise to that amount. So I could bring this up and you'll see it start to, well it should do, don't know why it's not working. Oh yeah, it is working, you can see it there. So if I turn it down again, it's just still, put it up, you can see it moving there. So what I've done is I've basically sent LFO1 to the filter 1 frequency. Then if we go to mod sources, you can see I've set this rate to 1/16. You can change that if I want. And it syncs to the projects as well. The other thing that I've done is I've added a bit of smoothing, so you can kind of like dampen the attack a little bit so you don't get the clicking sound. And then morph will allow you to change the decay shape, so we can like open it up a bit more, or we can kind of bring it down and make it sharper. So 55% was the sweet spot, and that went really well with the drums. So we've got that, and then the next thing that I added was the Spectral resonator, which just really made the sound a lot bigger and a lot wider. I'm going to put the Spectral resonator now into wet, and we can listen to exactly what it's doing. So what I've done is put this in note mode, and you can see you can change the frequency. But I wanted it to be in the same pitch as the original sound. So if you combine them, you can hear that they're in the same pitch. Now what I also did with this sound was I took it out of note mode and I put it into chorus mode, which makes it wider with this chorus sound. Now if you play both sounds on top of each other without the chorus, you'll hear that when I introduce the Spectral resonator, that the two sounds together, the effect and the original sound, are kind of cancelling each other out. We're getting some phase cancellation. What I found was, instead of them both being in the centre, if I put the Spectral resonator into chorus mode, you can hear it like opens it up and it clears it up, and we don't get all of that phase cancellation anymore. So I found that really works quite well. And you can see I put it at 29%. Now the other thing to note with the Spectral resonator is that I'm also automating the shift function as well. So you can see right at the end there, what we're modulating there and throughout the track is this one here. Let's put it into full wet mode. Really good one to modulate. So yeah, that's getting automated throughout the track. You can see there, especially on this bit, it sounds quite cool as well. Let's just do it in full wet. The other thing to note with this bit as well is you'll also notice that if we go back to the kick drum and we take a look at the transposition of the kick drum, so the pitch, you'll notice that this actually has some automation as well. So if we go back to that section, you'll notice that as the Spectral resonator shift changes, we also have some pitch change, which goes up 14 cents, like this. And here as well. Get that doodle. And then also on the earlier bits, we do have a bit of a note change as well. So we go plus 26 and then plus 38.